Hello, I'm Governor George W. Bush. I'm sorry I can't be with you to recognize the good works of George and Rania Kozmetsky, but I'm happy to at least have this opportunity to share a few words about my friends. George and Rania have made Austin and Texas a better place. Their vision and leadership in business and education have had a positive and lasting impact on our community. George is the prototypical entrepreneur and has been a driving force behind economic and technological change in Texas and around the world. His advice and expertise will help ensure Texas keeps pace as a national leader in the technology industry. And Rania has been a leader, a teacher, and a role model who has shown us all what it means to give back to the community. She has made a positive difference in the lives of tens of thousands of people. Rania and George, thanks for all you've done for Texas. God bless you both, and God bless Texas.
No one will ever think that George and Rania have set the goal too low. They both see big things that need to be accomplished, and they're fearless.
They see no barriers. It's just there's things we need to do, and we have to find a way to do them.
Why we're also fortunate is that we have two people here who've just been incredibly giving and unselfish of themselves.
Dr. George Kozmetsky is a practical visionary.
And he sees the rate at which things are changing. And he's someone who can give us a dozen illustrations of how rapidly the world that we're in is going to change.
Rania and George have given me the gift of believing that change can happen.
So what they have the ability to do is take a clear vision of where things are going and figure out what kinds of interventions are important in business life.
I can think of few other educators that have graduated so many students under their tutelage, both formally and through informal education. One of the great attributes is the partnership. Is, as in any partnership, one partner takes the lead in a particular field and the other partner is supportive, and vice versa in different fields. And I think Rania has taken such a phenomenal caring and interest level in the social fiber of our community.
And that interest has been reflected in so many of the causes that she has supported that particularly affect women, but affect children as well. I mean, that's another very, very strong concern of Rania's.
And I think this comes from her being a lifelong teacher in many ways. At the same time, we often think of George as being caring in his own way, but more of a business person. And in fact, he in himself is also a lifelong educator and teacher. And I think that's something they have in common. In no way does that mean that George is just the business person and Rania is the social person. Rania is a phenomenal business person in her own right, and George has many of his own social issues that he thinks are extremely important, and he also supports. So again, it's this interplay and the interchange in this partnership that I think is so great.
The book that they wrote, Making It Together, is a good example of really how they've managed to make their marriage work as their lives have gone through so many changes.
When I first met George and Rania Kozmetsky, I knew that they were high energy people with a lot of ideas and innovations. But I really didn't know how important that they would be to my life, especially Rania. When we were starting Leadership Texas, nobody else in this town believed that the program would ever go. I can remember going to one of the bankers in town and he told me no, he wouldn't support the program. He couldn't imagine that women would want to be in a program with each other where they were learning and honing their leadership skills. But Rania believed in the program. So she supported Leadership Texas. And then she started Leadership California. And then she was instrumental in Leadership America beginning.
Her interest in business has also been an exceedingly great inspiration and a model that young women could follow.
Rania wants to be not the person who solves other people's problems in a way that it doesn't help them to grow as leaders, but gives people an edge, gives people a little help so they can take the next step.
She decides that she's going to put hope in you and that she believes in you. She is not going to let you fail.
There's not one essence of George Kozmetsky's character, because I think he's so multidimensional. I mean, he just goes in so many different directions, which is fun, and that's what makes him exciting to be around. But if I wanted to focus for just a moment on one element that I think has been central to his character, is his drive for excellence. If it was important, and George was always able to differentiate what was important and what was not important, but if it was important, George wanted it done right. I mean, excellence was the key.
The word that is not in his vocabulary is no, it cannot be done. No, I don't know. Yes, you know. Yes, it can be done. Look for it and you look for the solution. It may take a little while. It may not be there right away. But if you sit and think about it, it'll come to you.
He's given people the tools to move forward in their own lives.
I remember at one point we were having some inevitable struggles, as any business does, and George said, kind of very matter-of-factly, well, fix the problems as fast as you find them.
And you'd walk in his office, and instead of having just a private office, he had a big blackboard in his own office. And when he'd get interested in something, he'd get all excited and he'd get up on his blackboard and he'd draw arrows and circles and boxes, and he'd connect them up one with the other.
People look it down and they say, well, gee, this company never made any mistakes. Well, we might have made them on the blackboard.
George has multiple visions, and you can't pin George down on one vision, because that's not fair to the man. That's just not accurate.
He's always so full of ideas, and he's so excited about them.
I smile. I have lots of social occasions to run into both George and Rania, and there's hardly a time when I run into George that there isn't some specific thing he wants to talk with me about. So not very many people would accuse George of small talk.
What kept George on the cutting edge is his mind. I mean, he just always thinks on the cutting edge. He's just always 2 steps ahead of almost everyone else.
He thinks three-dimensionally at a minimum, and more like a sphere. There's all these ideas circling round. And so all these ideas are going in his mind constantly, 24 hours a day. And then when he shares those ideas with us, they come out so fast and furious. It's like watching a speeding train go by. You're trying to grab the idea as you see it. He often meets to share ideas and share things that he's learned, and try and give that information to others for their betterment.
George and Rania are wonderful role models for investing in community. And so I look at what they've done, I look at their boundless energy. It's not as if they ever think their work is done.
It's so important to them to give back, to share in any way that they can.
They're a remarkable couple. They live and work together, and they accomplish joint goals. And then they've produced these 2 wonderful people that are their children, and lots of grandchildren. And family is very, very important to them, probably first because of their heritage, but second because they believe in giving back to the community. And so their children now are the heritage of running the RGK Foundation.
They have always been people who have taken the dollars and the personal gifts and the personal energy God has given them and turned it right back to other people. And I think that's really what pleases them the most when they see that work continuing.
Ethical behavior in business, ethical behavior in your life, honesty, integrity.
Don't just try and achieve for yourself, but achieve for others.
It's so clear to me what they value, and I think that gift is my commitment to the community, what I can do in some ways to extend this vision of helping other people. And so I think they would say, don't do anything for us, but we're delighted, we're thrilled, we're proud of you, we're pleased because of what you're doing, because that is, I think they would say, the nicest thing any of us can do for them.
Rania and George have been the wind beneath my wings for a long time. Thank you.